The church bells tolled like a death knell as I stood at the altar, my heart pounding in my chest like a trapped animal desperate to escape. Mark, my best friend since childhood, was about to marry Sarah, and I was his best man, clutching the rings that symbolized a future I could never share with him. In that moment, as the priest asked if anyone had reason to object, the words burst from me unbidden. "I love you, Mark. I've always loved you." The gasp from the congregation hit like a tidal wave, Sarah's face crumpling in shock, her bouquet dropping to the floor with a soft thud that echoed in the sudden silence. Mark's eyes locked onto mine, wide with confusion and something darker. Betrayal, perhaps, or recognition of a truth we'd both buried deep. My mind raced back to our high school days in suburban Chicago, where we'd shared everything except this one secret that had gnawed at me for years. Why now? I asked myself inwardly, the question looping like a broken record. Because watching him slip away into a life that wasn't his or mine felt like dying a little each day. The family I'd grown up with, conservative pillars of the community, had drilled into me that love like this was a sin, a deviation to be prayed away. But here I was, exploding it all in front of God and everyone. Mark's father, Mr. Thompson, rose from his seat, his face reddening like a storm cloud. "Alex, what the hell are you doing?" he hissed, striding forward as if to drag me away. Sarah's tears started flowing, and she turned to Mark, pleading, "Is this true? Tell me it's not." Mark stood frozen, his tuxedo suddenly seeming too tight, his breath shallow. Inside, I was a whirlwind of regret and defiance. Had I just ruined his life to salvage mine? The years of stolen glances, the late-night talks where I'd bitten back confessions, all culminated in this reckless act. I thought of my own parents, sitting a few rows back, their expressions shifting from confusion to horror. Mom's hand flew to her mouth, Dad's jaw set in that familiar line of disapproval I'd seen whenever topics like "those people" came up on the news. The priest cleared his throat, trying to regain control. "Perhaps we should take a moment." But Mark cut him off, his voice barely above a whisper. "Alex, why didn't you say something sooner?" There it was, the crack in his facade, the hint that maybe, just maybe, he felt it too. But the damage was done. Guests murmured, phones discreetly recording the scandal that would ripple through our tight-knit community. As ushers escorted me out, Mark followed, grabbing my arm in the vestibule. "You couldn't wait? Today of all days." His eyes searched mine, a mix of anger and unspoken longing. I pulled away, my chest tight. "Because tomorrow you'd be gone, married to a lie." He flinched, and in that instant, I saw the war within him. The dutiful son versus the man who'd hidden his own truths. Back at home that evening, alone in my apartment, the weight crushed me. My phone buzzed incessantly. Texts from friends demanding explanations. A voicemail from my sister berating me for selfishness. But the one that stung most was from Mark. "We need to talk. Alone." What had I unleashed? The inner voice screamed that I'd betrayed our friendship, yet a quieter one whispered freedom. The choice to speak had cost me everything familiar, but perhaps it was the price for authenticity. The next morning, I met Mark at our old spot by the lake, the water lapping indifferently at the shore. He looked haggard, circles under his eyes. "Sarah called it off," he said flatly. "She thinks I've been lying to her, to everyone." Guilt twisted in my gut. "I'm sorry," I muttered, but he shook his head. "Are you? Or are you relieved?" The accusation hung heavy, forcing me to confront my motives. Was my love pure, or tainted by jealousy? We sat in silence, the tension thick. Finally, he admitted, "I felt it too, Alex. But my family, they'd disown me." His words echoed my own fears. The Thompsons were even more rigid than my folks, with church ties and community standing. Coming out meant losing inheritance, respect, everything. Yet here we were, teetering on the edge of a decision that could redefine us. As we parted, his hand lingered on my shoulder, a spark of possibility amid the ruins. But doubt plagued me. Had I forced this on him, or awakened what was already there? The internal conflict raged, right or wrong. The path ahead was fraught with pain. The fallout hit like a freight train the following week. My parents summoned me to dinner, the kind where the air crackles with unspoken judgments. Dad's face was stone, Mom's eyes red from crying. How could you do this to Mark? To us? Dad demanded, slamming his fork down. I stared at my plate, the roast blurring through unshed tears. It wasn't about hurting anyone. It was about being honest. Honest? The word tasted bitter in my mind. Honesty had shattered Sarah's dreams, left Mark adrift, and now threatened to fracture my family. Mom sobbed. We raised you better. This isn't you, it's confusion. We'll get help. Therapy, she meant the conversion kind they'd whispered about in church circles. The thought made my stomach churn. I'd heard horror stories from online forums, the damage it inflicted on souls like mine. I pushed back. This is me, Mom. Always has been. But inside, doubt crept in. Was it? Or had society twisted me into hiding so long that emergence felt like destruction? Dad's voice rose. You're throwing away your life for a phase. Think about your future. Job, friends, us. His words echoed the societal script. Conform or be cast out. I left that night feeling like a pariah, the door closing behind me with finality. Mark and I met secretly now, in coffee shops on the outskirts of town, away from prying eyes. My parents are furious, he confessed over lukewarm lattes. Dad says if I pursue this, I'm out of the will. And Sarah, she's spreading rumors. Pain etched his features, and I reached for his hand under the table, a risky gesture that sent my heart racing. We don't have to rush, I said, but he pulled away. What if we do? What if this ruins everything? His hesitation mirrored my own turmoil. Nights alone, I paced my apartment, questioning every impulse. Loving Mark felt right, but the cost? Betraying friendships, alienating family, was it selfish? The moral quandary gnawed. Did my happiness justify their suffering? Society's gaze weighed heavy. Whispers in the grocery store, stares from old acquaintances. Faggot! Someone muttered once, the word slicing deep, yet in stolen moments, like when Mark leaned in during a walk in the park, his breath warm on my neck, hope flickered. I can't stop thinking about you, he admitted. But then came the call from his brother. Stay away from him, Alex. You're poisoning his mind. The accusation fueled my inner storm. Am I the villain here? Forcing Mark to confront what he'd suppressed? We decided to test the waters, attending a local LGBTQ support group anonymously. Hearing stories of rejection and resilience stirred something in me. One man shared losing his job after coming out. Another mending ties with family over time. Mark squeezed my knee, his eyes glistening. Maybe we can do this, he whispered. But doubt lingered. What if our families never forgave? The tension escalated when Sarah confronted me at work. You stole him, she spat, her voice trembling. He was happy until you. Guilt surged. Had I? Or had I illuminated a lie? She stormed off, leaving me reeling. That night, Mark called, voice strained. She wants me back. Says she'll forgive if I cut you out. The ultimatum hung like a noose. What do you want? I asked, heart in throat. I want you, he said, but the waiver betrayed uncertainty. Inside, I battled. Push him toward truth or let him retreat to safety. The ethical dilemma tore at me. Love shouldn't demand sacrifice, yet here it did. As we hung up, loneliness enveloped me. The price of authenticity steeper than imagined. Days blurred into agonized indecision. My boss pulled me aside. Rumors are affecting morale. Sort it out. Job on the line now. Family silent. Friends divided. Mark's texts grew sporadic, each one a lifeline fraying. Was this the beginning of the end, or a painful rebirth? The breaking point came at a family gathering I wasn't invited to, Mark's sister's birthday. I crashed it, driven by desperation, only to find him cornered by his parents. Choose, his dad bellowed. Us or that lifestyle. Mark's eyes met mine across the room, pleading for rescue or release. I stepped forward. It's not a choice. It's who he is. Chaos erupted. His mom wept. You've corrupted him. Accusations flew, relatives gawking like spectators at a wreck. Mark stood trembling, then grabbed my arm. Let's go. We fled into the night, his hand clammy in mine. But in the car he broke down. I can't lose them, Alex. They're all I have. His words pierced deeper than any rejection. Inside, I raged against the unfairness. Why must love come with ultimatums? Society's chains, marriage norms, religious dogma strangled us. My own family had gone radio silent. A letter from Dad arrived that week. Until you repent, you're not welcome. The isolation crushed, fueling nightmares of abandonment. We holed up in a motel, away from the storm. What now? Mark asked, his voice raw. I held him, our embrace charged with fear and longing. We fight, I said, but doubt whispered failure. Moral quandaries swirled. Was pursuing this defiant or destructive? Betraying family for personal truth, heroic or selfish? The next day, we sought counsel from a therapist specializing in LGBTQ issues. She listened as we poured out our souls. Coming out is a journey, she said, but forcing it can breed resentment. Her words haunted me. Had I forced Mark? His lingering glances at wedding photos suggested regret. I miss Sarah's stability, he confessed later. Jealousy flared, but empathy won. He'd built a life on expectations, now crumbling. Society's pressure intensified. An old friend outed us on social media, posts dripping with judgment. Pray for them. Comments flooded, support mixed with hate. Disgusting, one said. The vitriol amplified my inner conflict. Stand proud or hide to protect? Mark withdrew, spending hours staring at his phone, reading family pleas. Then came the betrayal. I found texts from Sarah. Come back. We can fix this. Mark hadn't replied, but hadn't deleted them either. Why keep them? I demanded, voice cracking. He sighed. Because part of me wonders if they're right, if this is wrong. The admission gutted me. Was our love a mistake? A deviation from the normal path? We argued fiercely that night. You're scared, I accused. And you're pushing too hard, he shot back. The words hung, exposing fractures. Inside, I questioned everything. My confession at the wedding, was it courage or cruelty? The damage to Sarah, to families, irreparable? Reconciliation attempts failed. Mark met his parents alone. Returned defeated. They want me in therapy to fix me. Rage boiled in me, but he considered it. Maybe it's easier. The thought of him denying himself for approval broke something inside. Don't, I begged. But he left, saying, I need time. Alone again, the void deepened. Friends distanced. Work suffered. A promotion slipped away. Whispers of distraction. Society's judgment manifested in lost opportunities, reinforcing the moral maze. Fight the system or conform and survive. Mark's absence amplified the pain. Each day a battle against despair. Yet glimmers emerged. A support group member reached out. You're not alone. Their stories of eventual acceptance fueled faint hope. But as weeks dragged, Mark's silence screamed rejection. Had I lost him to fear? Months passed in a haze of heartache. Mark ghosted me completely, his social media scrubbed of our traces. I threw myself into activism, volunteering at pride events, channeling pain into purpose. But inwardly, the wound festered. Had my love been a catalyst for his awakening, or the hammer that shattered his world? A chance encounter at a coffee shop reignited the fire. There he was, with Sarah, laughing like old times. My heart plummeted. Approaching, I forced calm. Mark. He paled, Sarah's smile fading to ice. What do you want? She snapped. He pulled her away, but his eyes lingered, conflicted. That night, he showed up at my door, soaked from rain. I couldn't stay away.
Vi tåket till dawn, trut spilling.
I tried going back to her, but it felt empty. Relief washed over me, but caution held. And your family? He winced. They think I'm cured, but I'm not. The deception weighed on him, a moral tightrope. lie to keep peace, or truth and lose all. We resumed cautiously, secret dates laced with paranoia. Society's eyes felt everywhere. A coworker spotting us, a neighbor's knowing glance. Internal battles raged. For me, embracing identity meant isolation. For Mark, it risked everything. What if we move? I suggested. Start fresh. But he hesitated. Running isn't strength, it's cowardice. The crisis peaked when his father suffered a heart attack. At the hospital, family gathered, tensions high. Mark introduced me as a friend, the word stinging like betrayal. His mom glared. He's the reason for all this stress. Guilt consumed Mark. He blamed our relationship. Maybe we should end it, he said later, tears streaming. The suggestion devastated me. After everything? Inside, fury mixed with understanding. The pressure to choose family over love was immense. Ethical dilemmas tormented. Prioritize self or sacrifice for others' well-being. Mark's indecision mirrored society's hypocrisy. Preach love, but condition it. I pushed back. Hiding kills us slowly. We clashed, words weaponized. You're idealistic, he accused. And you're weak, I retorted, regretting instantly. He stormed out, leaving silence deafening. Reconciliation came via a letter from his sister. He needs you. Dad's recovering, but Mark's miserable. Emboldened, I confronted him at home. Choose us. He broke. I can't lose you or them. The impasse forced a painful decision. Therapy together to navigate the minefield. Sessions unearthed deep scars, childhood indoctrination, suppressed desires. The therapist challenged, what price for authenticity? Mark admitted fears of damnation, ingrained by church. I shared my own, being the cause of his pain. Progress was slow, but breakthroughs came. Mark coming out to his sister, her tentative support. Yet backlash followed. Dad disinvited him from holidays. Until you straighten out. The pun intended, cruelty sharp. Mark wavered again, the cycle vicious. Inside, I despaired. Was love worth this endless torment? As Pride Month approached, we attended a rally. Chants of freedom invigorated, but a counter-protester sign, "Sinners repent," triggered Mark's panic. What if they're right? The doubt resurfaced, testing our bond to breaking. The ultimate test arrived unannounced. A family intervention at Mark's apartment, orchestrated by his parents. They ambushed us mid-dinner, pastor in tow. This is an abomination, the pastor intoned. Mark's dad pleaded, son, come home. Leave this behind. I stood silent, heart shattering as Mark faltered. I don't know. Betrayal burned hot. After all we've fought? I whispered. He looked away, torn. Inside, the storm peaked. Had I deluded myself into thinking we could win against such forces? Society's machinery, religion, tradition, ground us down. Moral reckonings assaulted. Persist and destroy him or release and save. I left that night, alone, the door clicking shut like a coffin lid. Days of agony followed, self-doubt consuming. Was my initial confession heroic, or the spark of ruin? Mark's texts begged forgiveness. I froze. Forgive me, but trust eroded. We met one last time in the church where it began. Empty pews echoed our whispers. I told them everything, he said. I'm out for good. Shock mingled with joy. What changed? He smiled faintly. Losing you hurt more than losing them. But the cost showed estrangement, financial cuts. His parents' response. Disownment letter, cold and final. You're dead to us. The words crushed him, sobs racking his body. Holding him, I questioned, victory or Pyrrhic? Our love survived. But at what price? Friends rallied, but scars remained. We built anew, moving to a progressive city neighborhood, joining communities that embraced us. Yet shadows lingered, holidays alone, missed milestones. Internal reflections deepened. Society's progress masked persistent prejudices. My own family thawed slightly. Mom called, I miss you. Tentative bridges, but fragile. Mark proposed therapy for reconciliation, but I hesitated. Some wounds need time. Ethical debates persisted. Forgive bigotry or demand change? Our story became a cautionary tale in support groups, inspiring yet warning. As we navigated life together, challenges arose. Job discrimination for Mark, my lingering guilt. But intimacy grew, decisions shared. A pivotal moment. Adopting a rescue dog, symbolizing commitment. This is our family now, he said. Yet doubts whispered in quiet hours. Did we choose right? Society evolved slowly. News of anti-LGBTQ laws reminded us of fragility. Our bond strengthened through trials, but the initial shock's ripples endured. In the end, we stood resilient, love a hard-won prize. But the question lingers, sparking endless debate. In a world rife with judgment, is coming out at any cost truly liberation, or does it sometimes demand too great a sacrifice?